everybody, this is Frilioth and welcome back to another Minecraft episode on the AlphaCraft server. Today I'm over in JJ and Wild Space, JJ and Wild City. I'm going to start calling it because it is amazing and it's immense. It's far too big to be called a town or a village or anything, or even a base. It is amazing. It's so big you can't even see it. Won't even render in. I'm over here today to do a little bit of work with them. They're going to be building an extension onto that fabulous building behind me. And I'm going to be building an elevator in that hole there. We're going to have a look at that in a second. But just look at this. Work of art, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. So, yeah, so the plan today then is to start work on a multi-floor piston elevator. One of the old school flying machine kind of elevators that they've sort of been forgotten about now. Since Mojang introduced water columns and bubble column elevators and soul sand and that kind of stuff, these kind of elevators have they've gone out of favour, but I think they're brilliant and they are so complicated to build. It's what I love about redstone is it's easy putting down a piece of soul sand, putting a bit of water above it, jumping in it and whoosh, you're at the top. Yeah, easy, everybody can do that. But the real joy for me is having a problem you've got to fix, and you can only fix it with redstone. So I love that. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go and have a look at the hole Wild has dug for me, or JJ and Wild have dug for me. Here it is. There's my hole. So this is a hole. This is where we're going to be building the elevator, and it is. I might even need. They've dug a massive hole, but I might even need a little bit more than that. I might just need just a few more blocks. JJ and Wild, because I've added a bit of circuitry and I've tried to make it wild proof. You know, but Wild's a big fan of pressing buttons. If there's a button there, she's got to press it. So I've tried to make it wild proof. If you start spamming buttons, Wild, we might be in trouble. But we'll see. I mean, if you break it, you break it, and we'll wild proof it eventually. But if you break it, you break it. I'll just have to fix it again, won't I? So if we make our way down to the bottom, I've already started a little bit of work. I've started doing a bit of work. That's where the doors are going to be. They're going to open, obviously, when the elevator is at this floor. Then you're going to climb and press a button, go up to whichever floor you've selected, climb out, yada, yada, yada. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the flying machine part of it. So I'm going to build that down at the bottom. That's basically your lift. For all intents and purposes, it'll take you from top to bottom and all the floors in between. I think I've got everything I need. So if we start at the bottom, we're going to need here's me. I thought I've got everything I need, and what have I forgotten? Something I need. It's me all over. Me all over, that is. Me all over. I'm looking for some water. I've got a cauldron because a cauldron is a movable block. There it is. But you can also pull a signal out of a cauldron. So they're ideal when you want to move stuff about. Let's put that there. Get in the right place. Boop, cauldron. So now when I put a comparator next to it, which I don't have, it'll pull a signal out of there when there's water in it. Like there is now. As if by magic. JJ, have you seen, I was going to say, have you seen how many times Wild's died on the server? It's going to click over soon. She's going to be back down to 0 because it's so high. Right, so we've got that there. We need observers next to it. I'll tell you what, instead of me... Oh dear. Oh dear. Instead of me giving you a blow-by-blow tutorial on this, I'm just going to build it and then we'll automatically send it off on its merry way and then back down again. Okay, so we've got our flying machine in, our flying contraption just here. That's going to take us up and down. I've also put a few other bits and pieces in. We're using furnace-eye, or whatever the plural is for furnaces, to line the inside of the elevator shaft because they're reasonably cheap to make. They don't look too bad. They're not a bad looking block really, and they don't stick to slime. We could use I guess terracotta, but that's That's a little bit difficult to make, difficult to find, you know, and it's all patterny and all over the place, isn't it? Really. Anyway, I'm going to use furnaces. If JJ want to change it for terracotta or something else, leaves, then it's entirely up to them. They can change that as they wish. But to start with, I'm going to be using furnaces, and I've put some doors in. I put a little bit of redstone in to allow the doors to open and close. I'll explain that in a second, but first of all, this I mentioned the cauldron, didn't I? There's a cauldron pulling a signal off here. We're going to use this as a sort of return station down at the bottom. What I don't want to happen, if you're on floor 2 as an example, and you select floor 3, and then you get in the lift and you press the down arrow because you're stupid, really. But if you press the down arrow, not the up arrow, the elevator will come all the way down, and there'll be nothing to stop it until it gets right to the very bottom. And if we didn't have a return at the bottom, it would just sit there and break. And we're going to have something similar right at the top in case you're on floor 2 and you press floor 1 and then press the up arrow and the elevator starts going up. So that's what that does there, but it will also give me an opportunity to demonstrate the lift working. This is there just so I can jump up and down in it. The mechanism that stops the lift at the floor is actually just behind. Can't see it. Can you see it? Maybe you can see it. That there, the redstone torch there. There's a piston there. Now it's a wonderful mechanic. Please, Mojang, do not change it. You change everything for very little reason, as far as I can see. I'm sure there's a very good reason actually, but you change loads for various reasons. But don't change this. A slime block will stick to a piston that's not powered, but it won't stick to a piston that's powered. So as long as that piston is receiving power, these slime blocks will go straight past it, and that's the mechanic we're going to use to stop this at a floor. So if I start this lift now, because that piston's powered, it's going to go straight through, and it's not going to stop until it hits that stopper block there, that immovable block, another furnace. So if I get it off and running now, put that back how it was so I don't forget, that's going to whiz straight past the floor, and it's going to stop when it gets to the stopper. If that stopper wasn't there, obviously it would go all the way to the top, or it would go all the way to a floor that's got a piston on it that's not powered, and then it would stop. So if I go up yonder and send it back down again, like that. Oh, am I going to get it? Oh, there you go, got it. Oh, so now it's come all the way down. It's got stuck because that piston there is unpowered. Therefore, slime blocks stick to it. It's stuck at that floor. Isn't that brilliant? Have I mentioned Mojang? Please don't change it. There'll be tears. There'll be tears in the Frill household. So if we, I need to power that block there, then go round here and do what I'm supposed to do. This block here will get powered and it will open the doors, and this is powered by the observer coming off the back of that cauldron, which is down there. Anyway, it's a cauldron. It's brilliant, the cauldron. Okay, so we've got a little bit more done, which is fabulous, isn't it, really? We've got the AND gate in that we've just put in. I've also put the pistons in now, all of the trumpet, I don't know what to call this, floor selection, whatever it's called. Anyway, that's what that is. We've got the redstone torches there that are now going to power the floor selectors, and that's what this little thing is here. And this is going to go from floor all the way up to the top. And what's going to happen is when soul sand is underneath the water, source block of water, obviously it bubbles. We all know that, it bubbles. But going up the walls at various places, we're going to have observer blocks, and they can detect whether the water, that source block of water there, is bubbly or not bubbly. If it's bubbly, it'll turn on. or it'll activate, which will activate a piston, which will activate some floor mechanism. And when it's off, when it's not bubbly, it'll do the same thing, but turning it off. It's really clever. See if I can demonstrate this here without flooding everything. Water and redstone. This is why we need some kind of bluestone or greenstone, waterproof. You're not going to be able to see this. Yeah, you can just about see it. My texture pack, I've got a shader pack on, which makes the water look like water, but it does make it very difficult to see. But that just about you can see there is bubbling, and with that bubbling, it will activate an observer block. Okay, so I've done quite a bit of work now. In fairness, I did spend about well, forever recording me doing this, but when I came to edit the video, I've done a bit of editing on the video, there was about an hour's worth of me just building the elevator. Now I know some of you might have found it interesting. I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably wouldn't, so I've cut it out. I've cut most of it out. So apologies to those of you that would have enjoyed watching me build this. Sorry, I'm trying to cater for the masses, if I'm being honest, and I just thought that most of you wouldn't want to see me doing that. So where are we now then? So as I mentioned, we've got 2 floors done. Bottom floor, first floor, second floor. We've got a floor there, and a floor at the top, and any other floors that JJ and Wild want to put above this. As I mentioned, we can go up to 13 floors because I'm using a new system now, using using a lectern and a book instead of an item frame and an arrow, which I used initially. But because of how Mojang have changed how redstone works, that AND gate there has had to change. I've had to put that line of blocks along the top to stop the signal bleeding out up the side of the blocks. I think I mentioned this earlier on in the video. If I didn't, apologies, but now I've had to change that. So in order for me to have more than 6 floors, I've changed the input to a book and quill rather than an item frame. So that's the system, the trumpet kind of system that selects the floors. We'll have a look at that in a second. This little bit here is the button that calls the lift. If the lift is above this floor, if the lift is above the floor that you call it from, then the down button is activated on the lift and the lift comes down to that floor. If the lift is below the floor that you press the call button on, then the up button is activated on the lift and it comes up. Very clever. Alright, am I going to be able to get down there without killing myself? Oh! Have I got my elytra on? I thought I had. Have, but still nearly killed myself. So let's have a look. Can we do this? We can. Now you may remember, because that piston's out, that means that the lift won't stop at this floor. The default setting for all the floors is that piston is out, which lets the lift go up and down. I've just found it easier that way. So if I press this button now, the call button, it's going to call the lift from whichever floor it's on. It happens to be below us. That goes in to signify that we want it to stop at this floor, and the lift comes up. It stops at the floor. That pops back out again. So now when we go in and press the button, we'll be off on our merry way. Now at the moment, if I press the down arrow, the lift would go down and it doesn't have a floor to go to, so it's going to break it. So I'm going to be putting in a fail-safe to stop that from happening. Same with the up arrow too. If I press the up arrow now, I don't think anything will happen actually on the up arrow, but I'll still be putting a fail-safe in there. I'll be wild-proofing it. So that's the call button. The floor selector button then, if we want to go to floor 1 or floor 2, which is this floor, floor 3, floor 4, floor 5, floor 6, floor 7, yada 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 yada. If I want to go down to floor 1, I can do that. I can then press the confirm button. That's the lift confirm button, and there's a good reason for doing that because of how this works. If I didn't put the confirm button in, which extends that piston there, activating all of this, I think I've mentioned this before as well, but if I didn't put that button in there, then those pistons would shoot up and down. It would eventually break. So once you've confirmed the floor you want to go to, you press the button and then see if we can see it, and then this piston comes across, which engages this AND gate, and as you can see, floor 1 there has been activated, and that will activate all of the floors. So it doesn't matter what floor I'm on, when I press floor 1, all of these pistons will extend down to the bottom and down to there, down to the bottom. It extends all the way down to the bottom, activating that repeater there, which turns off that torch, which retracts that sticky piston, which pulls the soul sand into the water. And as you can see, that is now a bubble column of water that will go all the way to the top as well, which means that that observer can detect that, and it's forced over that bit of redstone, the redstone block there, which has powered the bottom floor. So the only floor that's been powered now is the bottom floor. So now when I jump in the lift and I press the down button, I'll be able to get over there. Oh yeah, parkour genius. So now when I go in here and press the down arrow, if I press the up arrow, I'd go up and I'd be an idiot, wouldn't I? Which is why we need the return at the top. But if I press it down, I go down. Doors close. Down to the first floor, and then the entire system resets itself, waiting for somebody else to come along and do it. Now, as I say, there are going to be a lot of fail safes in here. If you, as an example, if I wanted to go to floor 5, and then I press the confirm button like that, and then something happened, or I got distracted, or I got killed, maybe a baby zombie just ran out of nowhere, killed me, the lift is now locked. Nobody can use the lift now because this call button's, the confirm button's already been pressed. So I'm going to be putting a failsafe at the back, which automatically cancels the confirm button if you don't press it within, I don't know what it is, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. So press a confirm, then you've got to get in the lift and press the button to start your trip. If you don't, it'll reset and you'll have to do it again. But if I don't do that, then it's going to break the system because somebody's going to press the button and then not use the lift. You dig me? Cool. Right, I think we've had enough messing about with redstone on the elevator for a while. I think I've covered most of it. We're coming back to it. We'll come back to it anyway, but I need a rest from this, and I've decided that it's about time we did a bit of work in the fun zone. So I've come up with an idea for an archery game that uses a new archery block. So I'm going to go over to the fun zone and start building that. So why don't you come over and watch me? So this is the area I'm going to be using for the archery range, and the part is going to run, I don't know, all squiggly around here, past the front of it, maybe around the back of there, and then past the front of free fall and over the other side. You know, there's probably going to be an inner path, and there's all kinds of stuff, going to be picnic areas and smaller games, you know, all kinds of fantastic gear in here. But anyway, this is where I am, and the range itself is 20 blocks long. So when you're stood here ready to shoot, that target is 20 blocks away. I think that's more than far enough to give yourself a decent go at shooting. If you've ever tried shooting one of these, it's not easy. So it's not just a case of standing there and aiming and firing 10 shots off, or 5 shots. I think we're going to be using 5 in this game, and getting a bullseye every time. It's not that simple. But the closer you get to the bullseye, as you probably know, the bigger the redstone signal that is pulled off the back of the block, and that's pulled off the back using a comparator. So if I hit the bullseye, I get 15. If I hit around the edge, all the way around the edge, I get 1. And it gives off a signal of 1. And we're going to be using a counting system. So I'm going to be using droppers in the floor. So if, for example, I hit a 10, which is there-ish, 10 lines of redstone dust will light up, and that'll correspond to 10 droppers. And each one of those droppers will then spit out a block. It's probably going to be cobble or stone or something we can get, maybe even dirt, something we can get loads of. And that's going to spit it out into a chain of hoppers, which is going to run down to the front and deposit them in a barrel. And you do that 5 times, and at the end of it, you add up all of the blocks that you have in your barrel, and that's your score. So let this be a lesson to you, Frills. Check and measure twice and then build once. I put all of those blocks along the bottom, which would have thrown everything else out. So I'm glad I spotted it when I spotted it. So I've had to lift those up again. Lift those up a little bit. And I've put the droppers there. They lead into this chain of hoppers. This is very hopper intensive, but we're not short of a few bits of iron really. We've got a decent iron farm knocking about, designed by some geezer. I can't remember who it was. And that comes into here. That's your output chest. That's your scoring chest. And then this line of hoppers along the top. Actually, this line of hoppers just there underneath, that refills the scoring tokens once you've put them back in the system, and this is just a continuous hopper ring really, so you don't lose any. You put them in and it fills up the droppers underneath. Anyway, that's basic pretty much. Now what I'm going to do is put a face on the front of it. I'm going to be using black concrete, and this was quite difficult to get obviously because black concrete requires squid, and squid aren't that easy to get hold of. You'd have thought there'd have been some in there. They only spawn now in rivers and in the sea, so you can't just build a squid farm anywhere. It would have been nice if there'd have been some there. So anyway, I've managed to grab myself quite a bit, but I'm going to probably need quite a lot more than that. So I'm going to sleep again, and then I'm going to stick a face on the front of this thing. I might build the block swapper first. I've got an idea for using a block swapper, so you get 5 shots at the target, and when you've used your 5 shots, that target block swaps out for another block, a different block, so you can't just get a sneaky shot in when nobody's looking. I was just going to put a piston over the front of it, a sticky piston. If I put a sticky piston here with a block on it, that would pop up when you'd had your 5 shots, but to be honest, that looks pants. And I can do better than that, so I'm gonna replace that with a block swapper. But it can't be your bog standard block swapper because of all this stuff behind it. So I'm gonna have to come up with a new design. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's have a kip. Let's start work on. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll start work on the block swapper. So I've got my redstone gear. And I've dug out a bit of a space down the bottom. Now, a block swapper is pretty simple, really. It's relatively straightforward. But I don't have the room at the back to make a normal block swapper, so I've had to adapt it a little bit and put most of the mechanism around the front or underneath. So we'll see if we can do this. So we need that block there. We need the sticky piston. Just there, that's going to pull that block down. We need to power that, so if we put a block there, and a torch there and there, that torch is going to power that. These torches are going to power the normal pistons around the outside. So I need some. I was going to take my sword off my hotbar, but you know what happens when I do that? I have that there and there. That there and there, leading into a couple of repeaters. Actually, it's a repeater there, isn't it? Repeater there. Repeater there. That goes into a couple of blocks. Those blocks like that. We need some redstone dust on top of there and there. Both sides are identical. It's a symmetrical build. And then on the back of this dust, I'm going to need a block. And on the back of this block, I need a torch, and on the top of that torch, I need another block. Now we're going to be putting a normal piston on here. I can do that on this side. So if I put a normal piston there, it's going to extend. I can't do that on the other side just yet, because if I do, I'm not going to be able to get this black concrete in there, because the black concrete is going to be the block that is swapping with the target block. So I need to put that in there first, and then get a block on here. Oh, look at that. That's what happens now when you click redstone dust. Put a block on there, and then and these have got to be crosses. If they're dots like that, this won't work. Okay, so you have to right click on it and make that into a cross. And then we need a normal piston there. Whiz round the back. Get myself a redstone torch, and then a block on top of it. This is going to be a lot quicker when we get an observer block behind the back of it, because that's going to operate with one tick rather than God only knows how many ticks a button uses. But you can see that's what happens. So when you've had your 5 shots, the system at the back will activate. It will send a 1 tick pulse around the front, and the target block's going to get swapped out with a normal block, so you can't have a sneaky little shot. Perfect. That's that done. Right, I'm going to stick in the line that goes around the back and probably put in a little bit more redstone here, and then we'll have another look at it in a second. Okay, so we've got that little bit of redstone in there. This is going to be activated every time somebody hits the target. When the target block is in front of there, every time somebody hits the target, it's going to put a signal, or that comparator is going to put a signal out of it, which is going to put a signal into that block there, which will also power a bit of redstone dust. Go on there. Frills. This is what happens when you've got an inventory full of crap. Bad things happen, alright? Sort yourself out, man. Right, so a bit of redstone dust on there. That's going to power. It's going to power that, which is going to fire a block out of that dropper there into here, and that's going to be locked. We're going to lock that with the torch in a second. So when the item gets fired out, it's going to stay in there, and then it's going to fire it out. It's going to stay in there. It's going to fire it out. It's going to stay in there. It's going to fire it out. It's going to stay in there. There were going to be 4 pieces of whatever, dirt probably in there, and so that will equate to 5 shots. Okay, so the first shot, it'll fire a piece out, but it'll suck back in again. Then the redstone torch will activate, and then the second shot, it's going to fire a piece out. It's going to stay there. As soon as this is empty, this is going to stop pulling a signal out of the dropper, which is going to change the state of that observer block, which is going to swap these blocks over. Okay, so if I stick in 4 items now, let's put in 4 blocks of dirt. There you go. That needs to be on 1. Excellent. So with the targets at the top, that's on 1. So like I said, I'm not going to show you. Shall I show you? I'm not going to show you because I've explained it, because you know. So that is ye olde block swapper, but it also means now that because of how this has worked, I can now put a floor over the front of this, or put some blocks over the front of it like this. And that is at floor level. Otherwise, with the old one, I wouldn't have been able to do this. Anywho, block swapper. Look at that. It's starting to look like a game already, isn't it? Let's do a bit more. Okay, so I've got myself some scaffolding, and I've got myself some redstone torches, redstone lamps. I'm going to stick the front on here. It's going to go up 15 blocks. 15 redstone lamps are going to go up here. Because it's going to look cool. It would have been nice, and I've been umming and ahhing about this for a long while, and I won't explain the reason behind it, but it would have been nice to put a black block on top of there before I started using my redstone lamps. But because of how the signal is pulled out of the back of the target block, I've been finding it real, because of the confined space I've given myself here, I found it really difficult to get the signal from that into one of the redstone lamps at the bottom. It's just, I just couldn't do it. I mean, if anybody can do it, please let me know. I'd love to rip this down and do it properly. But at the moment, this is just going to have to be good enough. So that's 15. So every time you hit the target now, when you hit the target now, depending on what score you get, those lights are going to light up. Now, my texture pack makes these black. That's just the better than default texture pack I'm using. But obviously, in the normal texture pack, those are redstone lamp brownie coloured and pretty easy to see. So if I hit the bullseye, all 15 are going to light up. It's going to sound a bell at the top because why not? But if you get a 1, only that one's going to light up. So now I'll stick the the ladder effect up the back, the torch tower. It's not even a torch tower actually, it's just a redstone tower leading up the back. I'll show you when I've done it, but I'm going to need my scaffolding. So we've got the redstone in at the back, the little tower, and that took a lot longer to do than it should have done. It was really hard work, that was. Anywho, so I've managed to grab myself a bow and a couple of arrows off a skeleton. So the closer you get to the centre, the more lights you're going to light up. Look at that, all of them. It's easy when you stood right in front of it though, isn't it? And the further to the outside you hit, unless you miss completely, further to the outside that you hit, the fewer lights get turned on. And also that will correspond with how many pieces of redstone dust is lit up down here, and obviously that corresponds with the droppers. So if you light up 4 pieces of redstone dust, it will fire 4 droppers, which will put items into this hopper line here, which will then dispense them around here into the barrel, and then you can count them up at the end and you've got yourself your score. And then you just put them in the barrel over the other side, they go back into the system for the next person's go. Genius. I know, I know. So now, when I first designed this last night, in fairness, I'd only got 1 redstone lamp above the box here, above the barrel there, indicating that your turn had started, but it didn't tell you how many goes you'd got left. Since then, I've managed to incorporate the old frill switch, going back to the Iron Alpha. The original Iron Alpha. Yeah, the original. I always find it difficult to say that. The original Iron Alpha, which I used back then. I'll show you it again in a second, but I'm really pleased I've been able to incorporate it into this build. So every time you take a shot now, one of the redstone lamps goes out, so you know how many shots you've got left to shoot. Brilliant. Now, if you miss entirely, then you've wasted it. Well, you haven't wasted a shot, you just don't, that shot doesn't get registered. So you're better to miss completely than you are to hit a 1 or a 2. Okay, it's just the way it is. So let me stick in the old frill switch just here and we'll have another look at it. Okay, so I've got the lights in on the right hand side. Now I was going to show you, I've done quite a lot of work over the back, and I was going to show you all I've done, but I'm conscious that this video is now 30 minutes long already. The first video I've done in 3 months for various reasons, and it's already 30 odd minutes long. If you want an in-depth tutorial on this thing, if enough people ask for it in the comments, then I'll do a tutorial and I'll explain all of it for you in there. But needless to say, well, here it is. I'm not going to explain it. I'm not. And then I'll explain it. But I will explain the frill switch, because I did tell you I was going to do that prior. But this uses 2 non-stackable items in there, which give off a signal strength of 6. And because I've got a gap here, that dust there is at a signal strength of 6, which means that one's at 5, that's at 4, that's at 3, that's at 2, that's at 1. Every time this little gizmo here is activated, and that's activated when an arrow hits the target, this redstone torch flashes, and it because these are on subtract mode, it subtracts 1 from that bit of dust. So currently that's at 6. Hit the target, it goes to 5, which means this goes to 4, which means 4 lights show up. You fire again, that subtracts 1. This goes to 4, which means this is 3, which means 3 lights show up. I'll demonstrate because I'm a big demonstration fan. It's very clever though, even if I say so myself. I've done a little bit more work in here as well. I've put the return barrel in, so when you've counted your score, you put all your tokens back in here again. They go back into the system. They get fired up using that item elevator there, which you can just about see. Uses observers. Pretty straightforward. I've grabbed a load of cobble. I don't know if I told you this, but I've grabbed a load of cobble from the farm, the cobble generator at spawn. It's 3 or 4 double chests full of it, which I've put on there, and now I've got cobble in there for days. We shouldn't be short of a bit of cobble. Just means it's not going to run out, which means the scores are going to be accurate. Now I can't get through the fence. So anyway, good shot, Frills. Goes down by 1, 4 shots left. Oh, good shot, Frills. 3 left. Look at that. Oh, not bad, not bad. 2 left. Bullseye. Nope. 1 shot left. Final shot. Boom. Fabulous. Lights go out. You've got no shots left. Target block swaps out so you can't have sneaky shots. Brilliant. And now you can come around to the front, count how many blocks you've got in here. I scored 48. And then the targets, the count is reset, the target comes back. Hello mate, your turn. Let me just put my things away. You lob them back in there again. That's the basics of the game. Now, as I mentioned, this is running on a little bit. Hopefully you guys aren't glazing over too much. But I'm going to build that exactly the same, only mirrored over here, because it's a 2-man job. It's a two-man game, 2-woman game, 2-person game. So that's going to go there. And in the middle, I'm going to put a bit of a decoration, maybe some flashing lights. As I said, this is a carnival kind of game. So we need flashing lights on there. As long as I light it up, there's not going to be too much lag. And then I'll put a big target at the top, and then hot shots right at the top in probably white concrete and black concrete, and black and red. And anyway, it's going to look fabulous. But I'm going to do that now off camera, and then we'll have a look at it. So I finally managed to do it, and this has taken an age, and it's taken a load of black ink, a load of squid. I've probably used all the squid on the server, so sorry about that, guys. So let's go down and have one last look at it, and then we'll give it a go. I am going to be putting some instructions in there when I get round to writing them. So this is it. It's got I've raided my Guardian farm, so I've got some sea lanterns at the top. I've got the name at the top of it in lights, as it should be, theme park, and I've got an arrow. Looks like it's going into the target. I think that was pretty cool. I did initially build it without the chevrons up the side, but it was a little bit difficult to see what score you'd got. This is just going to make it a little bit easier to count the lights going up the side. Obviously you get the score in the chest, in the barrel anyway, but this is just for people that are watching. They can quickly add it up in their heads. So let's grab a bow, grab some arrows, stand here, 5 shots. Ooh, pants. This is why I don't win UHC. Oh, that was better. That was better. Oh, 14. And that goes out. Target disappears. GG. Put those back. Let's go and find out what my score was. So my score was 48. Reset the game. Actually, you're probably best taking the arrows out of the board first before you reset the game. And then put those back in there again. They go back into the system. And it's reset, ready for the next person's go. So now I just need to find somebody on the server to have a game with. But there's nobody here at the moment. So I think I'll call it a day for today then, everybody. Thank you very, very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And a special thank you to all of my patrons, without whose help these episodes would not be possible. So thank you so much to those guys. If you have enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to leave it a like. And if you've really loved it, don't forget to subscribe for future videos. This is Frilioth, and I'm out of here.